Then
okay.
Yeah. That,
Anyway,
yeah.
I've just pushed recording and it can work. So let's start by offering respect. Prabhupada. Om Jnana-Jamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalatam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, I hope Bob can figure out how to get back in. Probably Claire's still around, right? She can help him.
Yeah, she's on call there actually. I noticed.
Okay.
Call, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's done it before, so it should be okay. Okay. Well, let's just recap anyway while we're waiting for Bob to join us. Okay, so the last 2 weeks we've been looking at Chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, Attaining the Supreme, Text 10. So we spent 2 weeks, here he is. Spent 2 weeks on Text 10. Hey, welcome back, Bob. Sorry for the trouble. But yeah, we've got the recording going, so that's good. Narendra will be happy. Yeah, so the last 2 weeks we've been looking at Chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, entitled Attaining the Supreme, text number 10. So just a little recap on that before we go to 11. So this is talking about the mechanical yoga system, and that if one, and it's talking about controlling the breathing and raising the soul up through the breathing process and controlling the breathing, you're able to move the soul up from where it is normally in the heart region up to the head. And at that time, the yogi chooses the moment when they want to leave the body and pushes the soul right out through the top of the head, the Brahmarandra. So that's one way of doing it. And also, while they're doing that, they're remembering the Lord, because there's no point pushing the soul out through the top of your head and you're thinking about your girlfriend because you're going to come back to the material world. If they're going to do that, they want to push the soul out through the top of their head and be remembering Krishna. And then they'll go to Krishna. That's the idea. So this is what this chapter is establishing. Whatever you remember when you leave the body at the time of death, that's where you're going to go in your next life. So if you remember your girlfriend, you won't necessarily go to your girlfriend, but you'll get a woman's body, right? Because you're remembering a woman, so you get a woman's body in the next life.
Just pardon me 1 sec, mate.
Yeah, sure. And if you're remembering Lord Ram, because yesterday was Ram Navami, the anniversary of the appearance of Lord Ram. If you remember Lord Ram, then you'll go to wherever Ram is. So Lord Ram has his own planet in Vishnu Loka, in the spiritual world. If you remember Krishna, you go to Krishna. If you remember Nrsimha, you go to Nrsimha. So whatever. And Prabhupada mentioned if a Hindu hates Muslims, then he'll take birth as a Muslim, and a Muslim hates Hindus, he'll take birth as a Hindu. So it works the other way around too. Whatever you're thinking about positively, like I'm attracted to a woman, you take birth as a woman, or I hate, some religion or something, or I hate black people or whatever, like that, tall people or short people, or I hate vegans. Jyoti said I hate vegans. So if you actually, some vegans have been giving us a bit of a pain in the backside on our Facebook page, but that's all right. We don't hate them. It's all right.
That means like you all Westerners hate Westerners in the past life. That's why you become Westerners.
Well, there's a few factors. You've got a very simplistic view, but there's a few factors. There's a lot of things. So it's not just one thing, but there's many things in there.
Is it possible?
And one's karma also. So whatever you're thinking, Okay, so you're thinking about, say, a woman or a man or whatever, and then, okay, so that's locked in. You'll get a woman or man's body, but is it like a really pious man, family or country, or is it a real impious one? So if you got some piety, you might take birth in a very rich country, and if you're impious in a very poor country, or like that. So there's a few factors to this karma as well, whether one's got good karma or bad karma, and then what you're thinking as well. So there's a lot of things. So luckily we don't have to work out all these things. These things are all worked out by more intelligent beings called demigods, Krishna's assistants, who they have the headache of trying to figure out where to put us all, it's a lot of living entities. So it's a big job.
Is
Yeah.
it acceptable that the yogis still able to do this in Kali Yuga, like decide when they're going to leave the body and things like that?
No, it's not practical. This process mentioned here was talked about 5,000 years ago. Even then, when this was mainly discussed in the 6th chapter, Arjuna, who's far more qualified than us materially, far more than us, then he said he can't do it. So if Arjuna says 5,000 years ago that he can't follow this yoga system, then what's the chance of us doing it? So as you know, most people's idea of this Ashtanga Hatha yoga system is just exercises to look good, to attract the opposite sex usually, which is the opposite purpose of the original yoga system. The original yoga system, you're not allowed to have to be completely celibate, means no sex like that. And they would live in the forest, right, all alone. So who's doing that? So they're doing it in the city just to look good, feel good. So it's all for sense gratification. Hardly the yoga teachers talk about God or anything like that. If they do, they'll say that everyone's God and stuff like that. It's all impersonal like that. So yeah, so it's not very practical. But Krishna mentions it here, and we talked about it previously. Why is Krishna talking about this mechanical yoga system if what he really wants us to do is do bhakti, is to have a loving relationship with him, which is the fact. That's what he wants. But he's telling about all the different ways you can go to God through karma yoga, jnana yoga, stanga yoga, as well as bhakti, because the people have different desires. The souls have different desires. Most souls are not ready to surrender to God. They're attached to doing some transcendental process in other ways. They maybe have, some people have an interest in God, but they also very attached to the body. So they'll be more attracted to doing yoga. If you're very attached to the body, you want to work with the body. So they'll be attached to doing the exercises and the breathing and all these kind of things. And some people attach to mental speculation. So they like working with the mind and thinking about, I think God is everywhere and he's the whole universe and like that, has no form and everything. So they like working with the mind and speculating. So they'll take up the jnana yoga. And some like doing like rituals. Some people like doing rituals. So they'll do like karma yoga and do the big fire sacrifice and chant swaha, swaha, and all the mantras and putting ghee in the fire and throwing grains and so many things and big rituals and like that. And they want all the pomp and everything and have gold plates and fancy things. And so, because people have different desires, so Krishna has different processes.
Okay. Those on the weekend, all the Matajis get very well dressed in a temple. That means they love their body.
Not necessarily. You're throwing in a, what do you call it? This is
Just like, it's if you
a
love your body,
twister question. A twist to
What
try
was
that.
what was the question?
Gulshan is saying so that the ladies who dress up when they're going to the temple, that means they're attached to their body. And I said not necessary. What's some other reasons why a woman can dress up nicely? Well, let's take it right from the top. The best women in the universe, they're the gopis. You know, Krishna's devoted cowherd girls in Vrindavan, talking about 5,000 years ago. They dressed up very nicely when Krishna would play his flute at night. And they would go into the forest and they would have nice ornaments and everything, nice saris and garlands and everything like that. Were they dressing up for their own enjoyment? No, they were dressing up to please Krishna. So that could be a motivation for a person to dress up really nicely, that we want Krishna to enjoy seeing us look nice. We want to look nice for Krishna. And that could be the men too. The men, say it's like Ram Navami. You're going to the temple for Ram's birthday or Krishna Janmashtami or Nrsimha Chaturdashi or something, and you want to dress up nicely so that Krishna will enjoy to see Gulshan looking very paka. Paka means looking, you know what paka means, Gulshan? Yeah. Means like very, you know, perfectly dressed, very respectable, very clean and every tidy, organized and everything like that.
It's a bit of distraction for me when I look at that. Like some of the Mataji is very well and like I'm just doing a chanting and like, you know, it's distracting me. And I said, what do I have to do, chanting or look at them?
I really like Gulshan. He's so straightforward. He's so honest. He doesn't hold back. That's one thing with Aussies. So you've got the Aussie mood. Aussies are very direct, very straightforward. Kiwis are quite shy to like tell what's in their heart, but Aussies are just straight up, man. Whether you like it or you lump it, but here it is.
Love it or leave it, nothing in between.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that about the Aussie mode. You know, very straightforward, very direct. You know, so that's good. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that is the weakness of the male ego. That's the weakness. Is there's attraction for the female form. That's the weakness, attraction for female form. Otherwise, men are generally pretty detached from the material world. But the one weakness men have is for the female form. And whereas women, they're attracted to the male form, but there's a lot of other things. You know, they're attracted to a nice house and attracted to nice clothes and attracted to nice jewelry and attracted to having children and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things they're attracted to, but man is just very simple. Men are a very simple creature. He's just interested in one thing, you know, like that. So, and
I know we drive the women crazy.
So yeah, if a beautiful looking woman can be very attractive to a man, but however, in Vedic culture, from the very beginning of life, 5 years old, the man is taught brahmachari training, which means taught to control the senses, you know, so you just don't go all crazy when you see a woman. So how to control the senses. First thing is that men and women wouldn't mix very much, you know, especially never in private. That's like forbidden in Vedic culture for a man and woman if they're not married. It's forbidden for them to. Yeah,
Muslim culture, they follow till today. You know, they don't mix it like, you know, men and women.
And in the Indian culture you're talking about?
No, Muslim. Yeah. They just...
so some of the things you'll see in other cultures also. Because, of course, Muslim culture comes from Indian culture, comes from Hindu culture. And Muslim comes from Hindu, and Hindu comes from Vaishnava, from Vedic culture. So, yeah, it's all things that have broken away. Even Jesus Christ, right? It said that even Jesus, he got trained up by the Hindu priests in Jagannath Puri and other places. So even Christianity has its as an offshoot of Vedic culture, and that's why we can see many similarities in Christianity like that. But getting back to the woman, yeah. So the man from an early age learns to control himself in the presence of women, And they're trained, the man from a young age, to see every woman except for their wife as their mother. That's why they would address as Mataji. Mataji. So it means respect. You know, every man respects his mother. You know, would any man think of exploiting their mother? No. Of having sex with the mother? No way. You know, so if it's implanted from 5 years old that every woman is like your mother, then that's a safeguard for that. But still, the rule is they're not allowed to be alone. Not allowed to be alone. And Vedic culture is strictly following. Then a man is not even allowed to be alone with his mother. Not even allowed to be alone with his sister or his daughter.
Really?
Only allowed to be, yep, that's in Srimad Bhagavatam. Only allowed to be alone with the wife. We might say, oh, come on, man, that's a bit over the top.
No way in the world I take anything, except my relationship with my mother or my daughter or my sister.
I know, you might think that's over the top. Why have a rule like that? That's ridiculous. But I tell you, it happens. And haven't you heard about it? There have been cases where a man has had sex with his mother. A man has had sex with his sister. A man has had sex with his daughter. They're raped, even like raped, like that against their will or whatever. So that just shows the power of
the animal. It's like
there's an animalistic tendency there. We can look at that. It's an interesting subject. What's that?
Something, didn't he try and it wasn't it Lord Brahma that had tried was inappropriate with somebody's
his daughter? Yeah. He went after his daughter. Nothing happened because he got there was a big protest. Hey, Lord Brahma, Dad, hey, because he's the father of everyone, right? So, hey, Dad, please don't do like that. It's not a very good example. I saw the sages in that protested, and then he with his superior intelligence, he managed to check himself. But yeah, that's just showing the power of lust. So let's look at 336, third chapter, text 36. So Arjuna asks a very interesting question in this verse.
Arjuna said, "O descendant of
Vishnu,
by what it's impelled to sinful act, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force."
Yeah, so we would all probably have experienced that, right? Sometimes we get pushed to do something that we know is not good, that we know is sinful or bad, to say something or do something. But as if like some force beyond us is controlling us and making us do it. And with our intelligence, we know what I'm doing is wrong, but we think, we still go ahead and do it. So why are we doing something that we know is wrong as if something's forcing us? Does that make sense? Can you relate to that in your own life? That I can remember so many years ago, I did that or said that or acted in that way that I know I shouldn't have done. It was wrong. It was wrong to do it, but I still did it. But why did I do something wrong, even though I didn't want to do it? It's like one voice inside me said, "This is wrong. Don't do it." But then another voice inside me said, "Mate, go do it." Like that. So what's going on? So then Krishna says in the next verse, 30, would you like to say this one, Bob?
I haven't got there yet, mate. I'm still looking. Sorry. I'm nearly 336. 336, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, we just looked at 336.
Yep, I've got it.
Now it's 337, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Righto. So, okay, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is full devouring sinful enemy of this world.
So that's why the saintly people, they go live in the caves and the forests and all that, so they won't see anyone, so no thoughts will come in the mind.
Yeah.
Is that them?
Yeah, that's the main reason why in the yoga system they would live in a solitary place without other people around, because they didn't want to run that risk of getting attracted to the opposite sex.
But Prabhupada actually didn't want devotees to do that. He wanted devotees to be in the association of devotees. So
Correct,
that,
yeah. So Jayani's making the point that Prabhupada didn't want devotees to do that, like go to the forest. He wanted us to stay in the association of other devotees. And that's because the process of devotional service is so powerful that it can turn the lust into love. It can turn the lust into love. That by chanting Hare Krishna and hearing about Krishna and so forth, that we can develop so much attraction for Krishna that the lust becomes changed into love. One of Krishna's names is Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan. So Madan means Cupid. Cupid is the one that makes this lust develop. Like it said, Cupid, or Kamdev is his name in Sanskrit, Kamdev, fires the arrow into the heart of the man and the woman, and they develop attraction for each other. So that's due to the work of Kamadev, Cupid. That arrow goes in the heart. And it's a very subtle arrow. It's not like a physical arrow I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's like a very subtle arrow that goes into the heart. And
So Krishna can be like, anyone, just accept the celibacy, and if Krishna wants, he can turn it. No matter how strong you are or someone, if you like to, he can just put the arrow, the Kamdev, and then that man or woman is the helpless. Like, even if
they come under, unless they're under Krishna's protection. Unless they're under Krishna's protection, yeah.
Okay.
Because
School, Sean, and say, "Oh, I was Krishna put it in my heart, and I was helpless."
But like, if the Krishna's desire, you can't do anything. If Krishna desire to, Bob or me to be, married 3 times, then we gotta be. It's like maybe next life you're born as a Muslim to be married 4 times. Like, whatever the Krishna desire is, I'm concerned.
No, but it's not.
This is like my dad saying, "Oh, Krishna in my heart is desiring to eat idlis."
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not Krishna's business to be getting us to fall in love with someone or to eat idlis. Like that. Krishna just is engaged in loving relationships with his devotees. And he's just fulfilling our desires. The super soul is fulfilling our desires. It's not that it's Krishna's desire, but he's fulfilling our desires. So it's us that desires to eat idlis or pizza or whatever, and us that, is attracted to the opposite sex and so forth. And Krishna's either fulfilling it or he's not fulfilling it, depending on different factors like that. But getting back to Cupid, Kamdev, so that's his business, is attracting the male and the female. And that's all over the material world, right? The male cow is attracted to the female cow, the male dog is attracted to the female dog, and the bird is attracted to another bird, and so forth. That's in all the species, that's there. And that's needed for reproduction, of the species and all these kind of things. And because also why did the soul come to the material world? What was the reason? We were in the spiritual world. Why did we come to the material world?
So let this, because of this, the God created this creation, and the creation has to be move forward, whether it's a plant or an animal or a human. Moving forward is that to be multiply.
Yeah, but does God have any need for material creation?
Yeah, if the God created this earth, and earth has to be moved.
He created it, but the question is why? What is there any need for it? There's a whole spiritual world.
Wasn't it to learn?
He may be getting bored, and he said, like, let's create.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No? Okay.
Actually, we are the cause of the material world.
Okay.
It was created for us to enjoy separate from him. We're the rebels that didn't want to enjoy with Krishna. We wanted to enjoy without Krishna. We wanted to imitate Krishna. So Krishna says, well, you can't take my position and imitate me here in the spiritual world. I have to create another place for you to play my role. you know, to imitate me. So therefore he creates the material world because of us, because of our desire to enjoy separately from him. We wanted to enjoy. And what's the number one way to enjoy the material world?
Or just, the tongue and genital.
Yeah, the main one is the genital. Yeah, and the tongue is also. That must be probably number two.
It's very
That's
hard to
number
figure
two.
out. Sometimes the tongue is prominent. I really want to eat that. Like Saturday, we had a dosa as well. So I tell to today we had an eggplant. You know, the one in the like.
Yeah.
I go every time. Like, you know, it's like that means my bhakti is just not moving forward, because it's just
No,
like
as long as that you know, dosa or whatever it is offered to Krishna, then you're attracted to Krishna,
course,
right? It's
of
prasad.
course, anything you
Yeah.
feel like to eat, it's offered to Krishna. Like it's
Yeah, if it's offered to Krishna, then that purifies it. Then that purifies it. Then if you're really attracted to that means you're attracted to Krishna. So you get some credit. You get some credit for that attraction to that food, as long as it's offered to Krishna. And it's no harm, because that's what may keep a lot of people in Krishna consciousness, is because they really like the prasadam, the food and everything.
yeah.
That's why commonly Prabhupada would keep a big jar of gulabs just inside the door of the temple.
Yeah.
So if anyone was thinking of blooping, you know what blooping means, right? So if anyone was thinking of blooping, I can't take it anymore, getting up at 4 a.m. and following all these rules and everything, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go. And they have to go, of course, past the jar of gulabs to get out. So, and then they think, well, before I go, I'll just take one last gulab. And
Yeah.
they pop that in. And I think, oh, this is so good, I'm going to have another one. And then I'll have another one. And then they eat so many gulabs, they decide not to leave. So if that stops, if that, you know, the attraction to the food stops us from leaving Krishna consciousness, then that's not bad. It may not be completely pure, because, yeah, still you've got a lusty tongue. Your tongue is a bit lusty to enjoy. If you see like advanced devotees like the 6 Goswamis, the immediate disciples of Lord Chaitanya, they would hardly eat. They had no interest to eat. You know, even though what they're eating, of course, is prasadam, but even that prasadam they would eat maybe, like one of them, Raghunath Das, was eating a handful of chickpeas every second day, or a glass of buttermilk chas every second day, or something like that. And he was skinny as a rake, you know, his ribs were sticking out and everything like that. And but his interest was in so much chanting, so much talking and hearing about Krishna and everything, and didn't want to, you know, spend time eating and sleeping and things. So hardly sleeping and hardly eating. That's like our favorite stuff, right? Our favorite time of the day is when we eat and then when we go to bed. But they didn't like to do all those things. They had so much taste for chanting and hearing about Krishna. But we can't imitate that. We can, but whatever we need to do to stay in Krishna consciousness, that's the main thing. You know, so that's like the main enjoyment, you could say, in Krishna consciousness is nice prasadam. And Prabhupada wanted that, because he knows in the beginning, right, you know, we got to have some enjoyment there. So yeah, enjoy having nice prasadam. That's very important. And then later on, you get enjoyment from inside your heart. When you have a relationship with Krishna more, then you get enjoyment from that relationship with Krishna, and then you don't depending on having tasty prasadam all the time. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, whatever he would eat, he would mix way too much salt in it. Way too much salt. So that anyone else would say, you know, how do you eat this food? It's like disgusting. It's like inedible. But he would do that to show that in the highest stages, you're not eating for enjoyment, for the satisfying the tongue. You know, you're not eating, you're just eating for sustaining the health, for sustaining the body, giving energy to the body, not for enjoyment. Because obviously, if you don't have salt in the food, you can't enjoy it. But if you also have too much salt, you can't enjoy it. So he was teaching like that. But also we can't imitate that. And Prabhupada wanted the prasadam to be very tasty so that people would become attracted. And then later on, hearing and chanting more and more, then you develop attraction for that. But anyway, so that's what Cupid is doing, is attracting the male and the female. And that's because, like I said, that we want that. We want to enjoy in that way. That's why Krishna created the material world, because we had a desire to enjoy. And the number one desire to enjoy is through the genitals, through sex desire. It's said there's a pleasure coating on the genitals of the male and the female that make it, very enjoyable. And then that's there because that's what we want. That's what we want. And no one would go through the trouble of bringing up children if there wasn't some enjoyment in it, isn't it? Because, like, to reproduce, there's a lot of problems in that, First of all, giving birth to the children is so painful, and it's a life-threatening experience for the mother and the child. And then so much hardship in educating the children, and you got to maintain the children, pay for their education, and need a bigger house, and you got to get a bigger mortgage and everything. So there's so much hardship. If there wasn't some pleasure in conceiving the children, no one would have children, isn't it? So that's what Prabhupada explains. That's an impetus to have children. Therefore, it's criminal to want to have sex without wanting to have children. You see? Because that's the purpose of sex, is to have children. And the pleasure of sex is given there because it's an impetus to have children. But if you don't want to have the children, you just want to have the pleasure of sex, then that's cheating. That's cheating the system, because the pleasure of sex is given there to make you want to have children, but then you don't want to have children. So like that. However, it's better to have sex with your one legal partner, i.e. the husband or the wife, than have sex with like multiple partners one after another, like that. So therefore, Prabhupada would say no illicit sex, and there's different levels of no illicit sex. So, but the minimum no illicit sex promise that we make when we get initiated, the minimum is no sex outside of marriage. But a higher standard of that no illicit sex is no sex even with your husband or wife, unless you are doing it for having children, which would mean once a month at the time that woman is fertile and like that, after the menstrual period and blah, blah, blah. And then no sex during pregnancy, and no sex for 6 months after the child is born, like that. So then there's a higher level of that. But anyway, getting back to how a devotee can overcome that urge, that powerful sex urge that's mentioned in this text 37, its lust is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. Then, as I said, one of Krishna's names is Madan Mohan. So Madan means Cupid, as I started to say, but Mohan means that's Krishna who bewilders Cupid. So Madan is Cupid, but Krishna is Madan Mohan. That means that person that bewilders Cupid. Cupid bewilders everyone, but Krishna bewilders Cupid. So if you come under the shelter or the protection of Krishna, who bewilders Cupid, or you could say who controls Cupid, then you're safe from Cupid. So that's the only way to get free from this powerful enemy of lust, is to come under Krishna's shelter. Because Krishna's the only one that's above all these powerful forces like Cupid and lust. And the evidence that Cupid or Kamdev is bewildered by Krishna is that when Krishna was on this earth 5,000 years ago, Cupid heard about Krishna, that this is this most beautiful person named Krishna, And he was told he's even more beautiful than you, Cupid. Cupid thought he's the most beautiful person in the material creation, that no one is more beautiful than him. And so he became a bit jealous and envious and wrathful that who is this person that they're saying is more beautiful than me? I will go and shoot an arrow at that person. So he went to Vrindavan with his bow and arrows with the idea of shooting Krishna and making him, you know, develop lust for someone else. And then, first of all, he couldn't even see Krishna because Krishna is always surrounded by loving devotees. That's one of the 4 qualities that Krishna possesses that no other incarnation or any other person possesses. Krishna has 64 transcendental qualities. 4 of them, not even Lord Narayan possesses, or Shiva possesses, or Brahma possesses. And one of them is he's always surrounded by loving devotees. So yeah, he was standing ready, but he couldn't even see Krishna. And then Krishna arranged that all the gopis, they just parted a little bit. And then he just caught a glimpse for a moment of Krishna, and he was ready to shoot. And as soon as he saw Krishna, do you know what happened?
He
His
fainted.
bow and arrow get melt. Yes.
He like dropped his bow and arrow and he fainted because it was just that beautiful form, Sham Sundar, that beautiful blackish form came into his eyes and overloaded his brain, overloaded his heart, and he just fell unconscious. So that's the name, Madan Mohan. He bewilders, even Cupid is bewildered by Krishna. Cupid bewilders everyone with lust, but Krishna bewilders even Cupid. So if you come under, the idea is, if you come under Krishna's shelter, under his protection, you'll no more be controlled by Cupid. And the evidence of that is, like, one beautiful example is Haridas Thakur. Even the prostitute came to try to victimize. She was paid by one envious person, paid her to make Haridas break his vows of celibacy and to get him to stop, you know, chanting and everything. So she went there all dressed up nicely, as Gulshan was saying, the women's go dressed up nicely and everything with ornaments and everything. And she was exposing her body parts and you know, moving in provocative ways and everything like that. And jingling, her ankle bells were jingling and that's things like that. But still he wasn't swayed. And she did that for 3 nights in a row, 3 nights in a row. And those 3 nights she was just waiting there. He promised her, just let me finish my rounds and then I promise I'll enjoy with you. So he was tricking her like that. And then she was waiting and waiting like that. But he said, every night he said, sorry, I didn't manage to finish my rounds. Come back tomorrow. Like that. So she kept coming back. But after hearing him chant the pure holy name for 3 nights, what happened was he didn't get filled with lust, but she became filled with love for Krishna. So she became completely purified after 3 nights, and she fell down at his feet. Please forgive me for all my sins, and please take me under your shelter and you know, teach me what to do. So he accepted her as a disciple, and she followed in his footsteps and gave up all her nonsense. And then she also chanted, like, you know, 192 rounds a day or whatever, 172 rounds. Yeah, I think it's 172 rounds a day. And she planted a Tulsi bush and sat in front of Tulsi and chanted all day and all night. And then she gave away all her possessions. She gave away all of her material possessions and lived very simply, and like they became a pure devotee. So yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way that lust can be overcome. So that's taught from an early age in Vedic culture, to be a brahmachari and control the senses and chant the holy name and everything like that. And then, you know, don't become so influenced. And also in the culture, also the women, even though they look beautiful, but they're fully dressed, as you know. You know, so you can't see if the sari is put on properly. Of course, a lot of women in modern society don't know how to put a sari on properly, and half of their body is exposed. But when properly worn, you can't hardly see any part of the woman. You know, so there's.
I remember hearing, I don't know who said it, but I remember hearing when you attract the opposite somebody said you admire that. To switch it in your mind, if you see the beautiful form of somebody, you can think, oh, isn't that wonderful that Krishna's made this form for him to enjoy? So you automatically flipping it around and you're putting Krishna into the, I don't know who said that to me or if I read it somewhere or something, but it automatically flips things around. Instead of you're looking to enjoy with your eyes,
Yeah.
thinking, oh, maybe you said it to me. I remember hearing that, and automatically thinking, oh, that's for Krishna to enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's an automatic thing, because women do it too, Gulshan. Like, men are very attractive, so but if you automatically try and think like that, it flips it around very quickly, and I don't know.
Yeah, that beauty is meant for Krishna. Like we said about the gopis were dressing beautifully to please Krishna. So as long as we think that it's for Krishna's pleasure, not my pleasure, then that protects us like that.
Yeah.
But then, but the mind is like a monkey, as you know, and the mind, even though you try to program your mind in the proper way, even the mind can sometimes go crazy. And that's what Arjuna is saying in text 36, isn't it? That you're forced to do sinful acts, even unwillingly. That means against what your intelligence is wanting. So, and that's the mind full of lust, goes against the intelligence. See, the intelligence knows what's right and wrong. See, what part of us knows what's right and wrong? That's the intelligence. What part of us gets filled up with lust, a desire to please ourselves? That's the mind. So all these desires, like lust and greed, and like it's mentioned, wrath in text 37. Wrath means like anger, right? If you starts off with lust, it means desire. I want this. I want this money. I want this car. Or I want this person. And if you can't get it, then what happens?
Anger.
Then you get angry. Why can't I have it? I must have it. Who's stopping me? Don't get in my way from getting what I want. Otherwise, I'm going to punch you in the head. So when you can't get what you want, then that frustration that builds up and you become angry or wrathful. So
it's like there's a two-way, fight or a flight. So I always on the flight mode. If somebody say, okay, I'll just walk away, I don't fight. It's okay, that's fine. If I can't get it, flight. And like, one is the fight, one is flight. I just flight mode.
Knowing what I've just explained, how do you escape that kind of anger?
Easy, very easy. I just 1 minute, I don't say anything to that person. Complete 60 seconds. And after 60 seconds, I'm going to get angry. But 99 times after 60 seconds, I don't.
Okay,
It's
but
like,
I'll just explain the process of that you have a material desire, and if you can't get what you want,
it's many times it happens in the bhakti.
Then you get angry. So therefore, if you want to stop the chance of anger coming, then what's the process? How do you stop getting to the point of the anger? Because once you've become angry, good luck at stopping it. Because once you're in that angry mode, it's too late to stop it. You want to stop it before the anger comes. And how do you... what can you do?
We're not talking about Vishwambar here. Okay. So we're talking about he was getting
I just explained where the anger comes from. So if you want to stop the anger coming, if you were intelligent, what would you do? What kind of culture do we need to follow? What kind of process do we need to follow to get free from anger? Because there's whole courses they do about that, right? Controlling anger and stuff.
Anger management.
They call it anger management. So, but like I say, good luck if you want to manage it when the anger's already there. You really want to manage it by not getting, stopping it before the anger comes. Yeah. But if you want to stop the anger from coming, what do you need to do?
Well, you were talking about desire.
Desires, yeah. So the real way to stop anger coming is don't have material desires. And that's part of the process of bhakti, that you have only spiritual desires. You have a desire to, I want to make a nice garland for Radha Gokulananda. I want to cook a nice lunch for Radha Gokulananda. I want to dress up nicely for Radha Gokulananda. I want to make a nice garden for Radha Gokulananda. You know, so you have desires, but just for Krishna and not for yourself. As long as you have desires for yourself, then potentially that can lead to anger.
But what happens if you're making a garland for Krishna, somebody interrupts you and then ripped up the flower or something like that, then you get angry? Because, you know, you go in a prashadam for Krishna and somebody just come and say, no, not that way. You have to do that way, this way. And you're doing with the full of heart. And then they just interrupt and then you get angry. But you say, oh, I'm going for Krishna. You know, it's like it's interrupting or anything you're doing that or sowing as will cross and anything. And somebody will disturb you and then you get angry. How do you control that desire then?
No, because the activity, we're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for Krishna. So if the activity doesn't work out, then it's nothing to do with us. It's not our problem.
You're allowed to get angry.
Only if it was, you know, I'll give you, like, if some thieves came in and they went to attack the deities, then I'd get angry. Because if Krishna is, if some harm is going to, we think some harm may come to Krishna, or it may inconvenience Krishna or whatever, then we may get angry.
You think you are protecting Krishna? Krishna can protect themselves. It's like it's not really if somebody is doing that bad karma, they have to pay back. You know, it's like if somebody is breaking into the temple and steal the money from the donation, you don't even know you're sleeping in your cabin, he'll pay back 10 times. Krishna knows how to take his debts back.
Yeah, but the process of bhakti is that we're trying to develop love for Krishna, right? So if someone's attacking a person you love, then what will you do? You'll just stand there and watch?
No, I have to protect.
Of course. So, you know, we love Krishna. If someone's attacking Krishna, then we're going to attack them.
Krishna is more powerful. He's the creator. How
yeah, but a devotee is thinking in that like parental mood, or as a lover or a parent. Some demons are attacking Krishna. Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj aren't thinking he's God, he can look after himself. They're going, someone's attacking Krishna, save him, save Krishna. You know, like when the Kaliya, the serpent Kaliya, came to Vrindavan, right? And then some cowherd boys drank the water from the Yamuna, and it was full of the poison from Kaliya. So they dropped dead. And then Krishna jumped in the Yamuna to fight with Kaliya.
Yeah.
And then some of the Brajvasis, they told Krishna's mother and father, and they came running. And when they saw Krishna was held up in the coils of the Kaliya snake, they were in so much anxiety that they fainted. Well, she was in so much anxiety, she passed out, thinking that he's going to get killed. And Nanda Maharaj was so protective that he went to run into the Yamuna, and it needed about 10 cowherd men holding his arms and legs to stop him from running in, because they knew if he ran in, he would get poisoned by the water. So they had to stop him like that. So they're not thinking that he's God, he can look after himself. They're thinking that he's my son, and my duty as a father is to protect him, and also I love him, and I can't risk losing him.
They don't know that he was Supreme Personality of Godhead.
No, because they're under Yoga Maya. So that's and the illusion that's working in Krishna's pastime is that you think that you're Krishna's father or mother, you're his friend or girlfriend or whatever like that. You're not thinking that he's God. So you're under a kind of illusion that makes you forget that he's God and makes you think that he's depending on, Krishna's depending on you, Krishna needs you, and Krishna wants that. So that's a special kind of illusion that's very desirable. That's the normal illusion that we live under. The abnormal illusion is the illusion that we forget Krishna completely. We completely, forgotten Krishna, and we think we are Krishna, that we are God, like that. And that we think we're the master, like there's an old saying, right? I am the Lord of all that I survey. And when I used to be a land surveyor, I always used to think about that, because in surveying, right, you think I'm the Lord of all that I survey. So we think everything that I can see around me that belongs to me, like that. That's mine. I am mine. I am the body, and everything related to the body is mine. So, yeah, that's the Mahamaya. That's the illusion in the material world.
That all the kings and queens in the past, they must be in the Mahamaya.
Not necessarily, actually, and going back in previous ages, a lot of them were very pious devotees, a lot of the kings and queens. And when they stopped being pious, that's when it fell apart, and there's hardly any kings and queens anymore. Now it's democracy and like that. But previously monarchy was there. A lot of them we know, like Yudhisthira. He wasn't in Mahamaya like that. He was Krishna conscious. And Parikshit, he was the ruler of the world after Yudhisthira. He was Krishna conscious. He wasn't in Maya like that. So, but then slowly as Kali Yuga came in, then the kings and queens became forgetful of their duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they got kicked out, and now it's something else. But yeah, so there's no harm, because see we have desires like that. So the lady does have desires to look good, for her body to look good, but that's purified in Krishna consciousness, because she's dressing herself up to go to the temple to look good for Krishna. So that purifies that desire. There is a material desire there in the woman, but that becomes purified because she's going there to the temple. She's not going to the club dressed up, or the pub, or the brothel or anything. She's going to the temple. So that purifies that. Like with prasadam, you have a greedy tongue, but your greedy tongue is being purified because the food's been offered to Krishna. If you just go and eat McDonald's or KFC, then that's getting more and more contaminated. But if you eat prasadam with a greedy tongue, then slowly you're becoming purified, and it's actually, as Prabhupada explains, if you eat, if you make the vow to just eat prasadam, then you're protected from material contamination. That's one of the benefits of taking food offered to Krishna, is it protects you from material contamination. So what's material contamination? Like these things, lust and greed and anger and envy and pride, things like that. So, but even though in the mind, we might be thinking, the woman is meant, all women are meant for Krishna's pleasure, not for my pleasure, but still the mind may flip out any time and you don't know. So therefore these rules are there. You can't be alone with a woman, even to the point, like I said, you can't be alone with your mother or your sister or your daughter, because in normal circumstances you think, no, I'd never try any nonsense with women or my mother or daughter or whatever. But you never know. The mind is like a monkey. It can just do crazy things.
These days you can't be alone with the men either. That's
well, now I mean, there's another level of Maya now, homosexuality and everything. Well, Gulshan, you're really putting some real
is that homosexuality
light field questions out.
No, homosexuality was there 5,000 years ago as well, or no?
Yeah, it was there right from the beginning.
So what
actually
was that?
One person asked on our Facebook page. One person asked me about what's the Hare Krishna view on homosexuality. So we mentioned things like that's not a new thing. It's actually right in the beginning of the creation of the universe. That was there also. It's actually mentioned in first canto Srimad Bhagavatam that some of the offspring from Lord Brahma that he produced from his mind, some of them were very good, but some of them actually, some of the male offspring, they actually attacked their father, Lord Brahma, with that homosexual desire.
Really?
Yep, right in the beginning of the creation. So it's homosexuality is not a new thing. Not a new thing.
I'm straight. I'm not like that. So don't anyone get think, you know.
But I mean, it's all really based on the same thing. You want to enjoy. So whether you want to enjoy with a different sex or same sex, that principle is not really different.
Enjoyment.
It's all just the bodily enjoyment. So having sex with a different with a different, you know, gender. Yeah, that's a good word. So I didn't want to say have sex with a different sex. It doesn't make sense. Have sex with a different gender. Thanks, Bob. Have sex with a different gender or the same gender. The principle is the same, really. There's no really that, well, if you have sex with a different gender is better than having sex with the same gender. It's all about your enjoyment. The only difference is if you have sex with a different gender, you can produce children, whereas with the same gender, you can't. So that gives you an opportunity to do service. Because if you produce children, that's service, right? You're doing a service of reproduction, you know, and you know, perpetuating the population, you know, to keep the population going. We don't want the human species to die out, right? You know, so you need to reproduce. So that creates some service out of your material desire. You have a desire to enjoy your senses, but there's some service in it because you're reproducing. So that's the only, but otherwise, apart from that, it's just your own personal enjoyment, you know, whether it's same gender or different gender, like that. So, but the real idea, the real point we want to come to is that we want to please Krishna's senses and not just our own senses. And that's one of the basic principles of Bhagavad Gita, right? In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, who did Arjuna want to please?
To himself.
Krishna.
No, he didn't.
Arjuna.
In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he wanted to please himself.
Yeah.
He said, Arjuna said, I will not fight.
Yeah.
That was for his own pleasure in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. We can read that in the Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter. Let's see if we can. That one I'll have to just look through and see. But if it was probably early on in the first chapter, or in the middle of the first chapter. So, oh no, I think it's at the end.
Then
actually.
Krishna said that Arjuna, don't worry about you. It's my battle. I say you fight. That's it. Thinking about yourself.
It's just, if everyone has a look through the first chapter.
First chapter, it doesn't exist in Bhagavad Gita.
No, don't be silly.
What we're looking at? 6, 7.
Look for where he says, he puts down his bow and arrow.
Yeah.
He puts down his bow and arrow and he says, I will not fight.
I think it's not in the first, it's the third one.
Is it? Or maybe it comes a bit later. Maybe it comes in the second one. But anyway, there is one verse. There is one verse where he says, he puts down his bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And he says, I will not fight.
Yeah. And then he put the head down.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll have to research that one. But there is a verse where he puts it down and then he says, I will not fight. So in the beginning, he wants to please his own senses.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, let's see what he says. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita. It's 18 chapter text, I think it's around 73.
Yeah.
1873.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
73. Yeah, yeah.
Krishna said, my dear Krishna, oh inflammable one, my illusion is not gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I'm now firm and free from a doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
Yeah, so in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he just wanted to do what he wanted. But at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he completely turned around 180 degrees and he wanted to do what Krishna wanted.
If he said this thing in the first chapter, there won't be any Bhagavad Gita then.
Then there wouldn't be a Bhagavad Gita. So, that's part of Krishna's arrangement,
Of course.
that Arjuna was put under this kind of illusion of being like selfish,
Yes.
lusty person. And so lust doesn't just refer to the attraction between male and female. It's a lot broader. So when we say calm or lust, that means broadly any kind of desire where we want to please our own senses.
Yep.
So
Like
there's
a new car.
yeah, like you want to get a new car because it pleases your own senses, or the latest iPhone because it pleases your senses, or a bigger house because it pleases, or an ice cream, or so different ways that we try to please ourselves. So, and that's all under the broad category of lust. But like I said, the greatest enjoyment is said to be sex, that sexual engagement between a man and woman. That's the highest kind of way we try to enjoy like
So
that.
can I go to the next step there, going back?
To get married.
Also, didn't you say the highest after sex was the next one? What was the next one? Was murder or killing?
You got a good memory, Bob. You got a very good memory. I haven't said that for a long time. Yeah, so although it's said that generally that sex is the greatest enjoyment, which is a kind of lust, sex, there is actually one higher than that, and that's the pleasure of killing. The pleasure of killing. And most people would say, what are you talking about, that killing is a pleasure? But what's the pleasure of killing? But it's that, Prabhupada explains, it's that because why do we come in the material world, right? We want to play God's role. What's part of God's role? That he's the supreme controller. So you are controlling another living thing's life or death is in your hands. That's that kind of power, that we enjoy, that sense of power, that your life and your death is in my hands. I control that. So that's part of the way that we enjoy is through controlling. Because we're trying to imitate God like that. So, and we see that people do that, people do get pleasure in killing. And then we have hunters, right? I mean, locally, even where I live, there is so many hunters. They hunt pigs and deers and possums and so many things. And they get pleasure out of killing. I mean, myself, I kill things, but not for pleasure. I just do it as a duty. I don't like killing, and I just do it as a duty, though, to protect the garden that I have. Actually, I killed the biggest thing I've ever killed recently, which was a pig. I killed many possums, but a pig, that's a next level. That's a much bigger creature and not so easy to kill. So that was a big challenge for me. And I in my mind, I wanted to kill it as quickly as possible, so it didn't have to go through, more pain than necessary. So, and by Krishna's mercy, it did die very quickly. So, but it was making a devastation in the garden. So I eventually trapped it. I caught it in a trap, and then I killed it. But yeah, it wasn't a pleasure for me. It was a very unpleasant thing. And I could relate to Arjuna here, that Arjuna, he didn't want to kill these people on the battlefield, but he did it as a matter of duty. So that's how the Vedic process works, that all of the activities, you just do it as a matter of duty, just because it ought to be done, because Krishna is instructing, Krishna is giving the order to do like that. So some people have been given the order, to protect the people, and they're known as the Kshatriyas, right? But other people are given the duty to protect the crops and the plants and the animals and so forth, and they're the Vaishyas. So like I'm acting as a Vaishya, I have to protect animals, and crops. So in order to do that, then sometimes you have to kill the pests, that are, threatening like that. So this is the principle, to just do your activities as a matter of duty, whether you like doing it or you don't like doing it. That's a secondary point. But the main thing is, if you have a duty to do, you have to do it. And every kind of occupation has some unpleasant things. You might like an occupation, like I like say I like doing business. I like business. But there might be parts of that business work that you don't like doing. What's one part of business that's a lot of people may not like to do?
It's not one part, more than one part. It's like the pleasurable part, that when the money comes.
Yeah, we like that part.
Yeah, like
but
that.
There's other parts, like I'll give you an example. It's what Prabhupada talks about. He says in every business, you have to tell lies. Otherwise, you can't make profit.
That's
because
right.
you say, oh, you're my best customer. For you, I'm not making any profit. But everyone knows he is making a profit. Otherwise, he can't do business. So, but he's lying. So that's you could say a sinful activity.
It's
tell a lie.
Back
but
in,
you can't do business without lying, because
I was in the real estate, and then 1 month I decided not to lie. And that month of November, I did not sell any property. And I've been told from my boss that, listen, Matt, I'm going to fire you because you didn't make any sale. But I just vowed that I'm not going to lie that. And I was almost losing my job, and I start lying again. I was
start lying again, So that's part and parcel of doing business, is you have to tell some lies.
Can I tell you, isn't there there's an old saying that a person only tells the truth, doesn't have any friends?
No.
Yes.
He doesn't have many friends.
Yeah.
He may have 5 friends, but they're good ones.
But you won't have any materialistic ones, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But then, so that's within a Vaishya's work, he can do that, tell lies, but a Brahmana can't. See, if you're in a different work, then it's a different set of rules. So whereas a Vaishya, it's legitimate for him to lie, but a Brahmana, it says you can ask a Brahmana even like, how much money do you have in the bank? And a real Brahmana, he'll just tell you. He'll tell you anything. Even like Dronacharya, right? Dronacharya, he was a Brahmana, but interestingly, he wasn't teaching spiritual things. He was teaching martial arts. So you see, Brahmana means a teacher, but it could be teaching anything. You could be a Brahmana teaching how to use a machine gun, like that. But it means you're a teacher. So he was teaching, but as a Brahmana. And one king hated Dronacharya, and he did a whole sacrifice to get a son that would kill Dronacharya. and he got the son, and the son's name was Drishtajumna. So Drishtajumna was born, and then Dronacharya knew that this Drishtajumna, he was destined to kill him. But then Drishtajumna came to him and said, I want to be your disciple. Can you teach me how to use the bow and arrow? And Dronacharya said yes. You see? So even though he knew this guy is going to kill me in future, but he didn't hesitate to become his teacher and teach him how to kill. So that he taught the disciple how to kill, and he knew that in future he would use that knowledge to kill him. But because he's a Brahmana, a truthful Brahmana, and that's part of his duty, if someone sincerely wants to learn from him, he's not going to refuse like that. So he just accepted that. And yeah, it's amazing, the culture. And like a Kshatriya, right? A Kshatriya has to keep his word of honor.
Yeah.
A Kshatriya has to keep his...
They have to practice that. When they go in the war, how can they be, doing that? They have to kill some animal to shooting a bow and arrow in order to practice to get perfect.
Yeah, that's there too. But a Kshatriya also, they have a word of honor, and they'll never break their word of honor. And so one time, Arjuna had very much pleased Duryodhana. That's the evil Duryodhana. So he's the one that instigated the whole war against the Pandavas. He tried to kill the Pandavas so many times. But one time Arjuna, I think, rescued him. I think some Gandharvas were going to kill Duryodhana and some of his brothers, and Arjuna, he came in and rescued them. And at that time, Duryodhana said, I'm very pleased with you. I want to give you some benediction. And Arjuna said, no, not now. I don't want anything. But then later on, Krishna reminded Arjuna that Duryodhana owes you. He owes you. So now's the time for you to get something from him.
Yeah.
So what had happened is that Bhishma had vowed to kill the Pandavas the next day. And he got 5 arrows, and he invested all of his Shakti, all of his energy in those 5 arrows. And he was going to use them the next day to kill the 5 Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, and Sahadev. So then, and Duryodhana was worried that the Pandavas might steal those arrows. So he said, I will keep them safely. Duryodhana was going to keep them safely. So then and Krishna knows everything, right? So he said, you go, Arjuna, you go to Duryodhana and you remind him that he owes you one, benediction, and you ask him for those 5 arrows. So he went there and he asked for the arrows, and Duryodhana handed them over, which is crazy to think that he would do that, because he hated the Pandavas, but still that was his duty, that he owed a debt to Arjuna. He had promised a benediction to Arjuna, so he kept his word. That he is very important. If you're a Kshatriya like that, you have to keep your word. Also a Brahmana, also you have to keep your word. But like a Vaishya doesn't. A Vaishya can tell a lie like that, but a Brahmana or a Kshatriya can't like that. So it depends on what your occupation is. There'll be different rules of things you can do and you can't do like that. So it's very, very interesting. But yeah, whatever our occupation is, you have to follow those rules, and that's called your duty. So like that. So like for me, getting back to me, as a gardener, a Vaishya, I have a duty to protect the garden. So if something comes in, like a possum or a pig, then it's part of my duty. I have to kill it. And whether I like doing it or I don't like doing it, that doesn't matter. That's not part of the equation. But and you shouldn't like doing it, because if you like killing or whatever, that's not a good sign. That you have a big ego of wanting to control, you know, like I mentioned, like you want to control and everything. But no, we don't want to control. We're just doing it as part of our duty, in my opinion. But every like I said, every occupation has some unpleasant things. You have to tell a lie. And Prabhupada tells what was the unpleasant thing for a Brahmana, that traditionally, of course, in Vedic culture, there was some animal sacrifices. So the Brahmana would be involved in killing animals, you know, sacrificing animals. Of course, they would kill the animal and bring it back to life, but still you're killing it, you know. But I mean, they bring it back to life, which is a complete miracle. But they had the power to do that. But still, it's unpleasant, right? I mean, they have to chop its head off with the big axe or whatever. I mean, they personally wouldn't do it, but they were there and ordering it. That was under their instruction. So, I mean, in every occupation, there is unpleasant things. And Kshatriyas, right, they even have to kill their relatives sometimes. And that was the Battle of Kurukshetra, right? If the enemy on the other side is even your own family member or even guru, right? Even Arjuna's guru, Dronacharya, was on the other side. Bhishma, grandfather, was on the other side, and he had to kill them. You know, it was his duty. You know, so everything. And what's the bad thing about being a Sudra? Is that sometime you have a bad master, you know, but you have to serve them. You have a bad master. Oh, boss, can I have the day off for Krishna's birthday? No, you can't. Sorry, mate. You have to work, mate. No time off. Oh, but it's Krishna's birthday. No, I don't care. You have to work. You know, so you don't have any freedom. You know, a Sudra. You know, you have to be obedient to the master, and sometimes the master asks you to do things that are not good. You know, so every occupation has some negative aspects, but does that mean we shouldn't do it? You know, like Arjuna is saying, oh, this occupation has become too bad now. I have to kill all my relatives. I don't want to do it anymore. But then Krishna teaches him, no, you should still do your occupation. And that's mentioned.
Can you change your occupation? Like, if you are a Vaishya, like you have to lie in the business and you don't feel like it, you could have to change your occupation, because if you don't like it, because you don't like to lie, because in order to run the successful business, you have to lie. So would you be able to change that, or you have to follow the instruction because the Krishna says that Vaishya has to lie and have to do that, or you have an option.
But someone has to do it. If everyone stopped being a Vaishya, then we're not going to get any food anymore or whatever, or any business done.
But
no, so generally you don't change. The only way to change it is if you surrender to Krishna. Then Krishna might say, I want you to do something different. But otherwise,
basic nature you can't change.
Yeah, your basic nature is not going to. You can purify your nature by becoming Krishna conscious, but you can't change your nature. Even, you know, a person before they were a devotee and after they were a devotee, right? So then now they're Krishna conscious. Before they weren't Krishna conscious. But has their nature completely changed? Probably not. I don't think so. You're still taking the same nature with you into the Hare Krishna movement.
Yeah.
Even like one of Prabhupada's disciples, right? His name was Garga Muni. And Prabhupada nicknamed him Garga Muni. Garga Muni. You know, Garga Muni, that was the name of Krishna's guru 5,000 years ago. The teacher's guru's name was Garga Muni. So he gave his disciple the name Garga Muni Das, the servant of Garga Muni. But he got the nickname Garga Muni because he was really attracted to money.
Yeah.
But so before he joined the Hare Krishnas, he was expert in business and getting lots and lots of money. Now, and after he joined, he still liked getting lots and lots of money. But the only difference is before, lots and lots of money for himself. After, lots and lots of money for Krishna. He would bring a briefcase in to Prabhupada's room and put it on Prabhupada's desk and open it up in front of Prabhupada, and it was full of money.
Mm.
So that's the difference. He purified that nature, but it didn't change his nature. You see? His nature didn't change, but it got purified. Before, he got lots and lots of money for himself. after he got lots and lots of money for Krishna. So that's a purification of that. So let's look at that point of not just giving up your work that you're doing because there's some fault in it. So that's in the 18th chapter, around text 57, something like that.
So how do you find it who your truly nature is?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, 57, 67.
No, it's not 57. I just have to. It's around that area. Maybe it's 40 something. Here it is. 47. No, 48. Yeah, 47 and 48.
Okay. It is better to engage one's own occupation, even though one may be perform it imperfectly, than to accept another occupation in the perfection is perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reaction. This is on the third chapter, and 35 is the same.
Very similar. Very similar. There's a very similar verse. The first two lines are the same.
Yeah.
Second two lines are slightly different. But that just shows you how important this verse is. It's mentioned twice in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
I only know one other verse that's almost the same. That's mentioned twice as well, which I can show you that another time. But yeah, this is a very important point. It's better to do your own occupation, even though if you're not doing it perfectly, than to do someone else's work perfectly.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're not going to get a sinful reaction. And the next verse is very important and connected to it too.
Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault.
So don't think that, this job sucks, I have to kill pigs and possums, I'm going to go and do some other work, because then there'll be a different fault. There's a fault in everything you do. And then I don't want to do farming anymore because I have to kill things. I'll go and do a business, but then I have to tell lies.
But
so you went from one fault to another fault.
Some work you really enjoy that. I mean, I realize like I'm in the customer service for the last 20, 30 years. It's like whether it's a real estate, I was working in the Harvey Norman as well, now in the Bhakti Tree or own a cafe. So it just customer service was my really, and if you ask me to work in the factory or work in the, somewhere different, then I will do it, and then I may not enjoy it. So it's why not you do something you enjoy?
That proves the point, because you were doing customer service before we met you.
Yes.
And then still now you're doing customer service, but for Krishna. So you can't change your nature. So it follows you wherever you go, whether you're a devotee or not a devotee, but your nature is still there. But now it's become purified because you're having such nice interactions with people, and they're becoming attracted to taking prasadam and taking a book and whatever, go to the farm or whatever like that. So that's being purified, but you're using it in Krishna's service. But it would be sinful for you to go and work in a factory and putting together nuts and bolts. Because it's not your then that service for Krishna is not going to get done by someone as good, like that. We had two lucky strikes, because before you joined, we had Amala, as you know, Amala, that beautiful little angel. And she was Krishna Kirtan. So she was also perfect. That was her nature. She had such a beautiful smile when everyone walked in, and she was the perfect person for that job. That was her nature. She loved.
If you put Krishna Kirtan there, no.
Yeah, if you put Krishna Kirtan there, it would have been a disaster, because he's like real introvert. See, she was a real extrovert, and he was a real introvert. Yeah. But he was perfect when you put him behind a mridanga or behind a kitchen spoon. Good at cooking, good at kirtan. His kirtans were just out of this world. His voice, his beautiful deep voice, and his mridanga playing and harmonium, and that was his. Perfect. And if you took him out of that role and put him at the front desk of the
Yeah.
bhakti tree, it would have been a disaster. You know, so
That's
you've got to, that's an important part of Vedic culture. Everyone has to work according to their nature.
in Australia.
Excuse me, everyone. I
Yes.
have to go.
Yes. Lovely
I
to
have
see
to
you,
go.
Bob.
Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll be here next week.
Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. Awesome.
They were saying in Australia, 4 people out of the 5 they're in the wrong job.
Right. Yeah.
They should be something and they're doing something else.
Yeah.
So that's why I say love it or leave it. Like if some jobs I don't think so, it's me, I just leave it. Even it's including my wife as well. Love it or leave it. Nothing in between.
No, I mean, like I said, sometimes if you have a duty to do, even if you don't like it, you still have to do it, you know, like that. So,
But like, you know what, if you don't like something and you do it, some part of your heart, you have to be squeeze it down. And that part is a part and parcel of Krishna. And you are squeezing down that part and parcel. I think it's not fair. Krishna is there residing and you are squeezing down Krishna to something you're not happy with that and you keep doing with that. It's Krishna not going to be happy with you. Do you think it's a Krishna's will? I don't think so.
but in terms of a marriage or whatever, you know,
marriage
then,
is a different story, but the work I'm talking about.
yeah, if you just don't, I don't like this person anymore, I'll see you later. I mean, no, that's not right. You know, like it said, you know,
some people, I don't like that, but doesn't mean that I leave. I just serve them. That's fine.
yeah,
There's some customer. I know that. It's okay. It's part of the duty. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Have a wonderful day. Good evening. Good morning. Things like that. But some I just give it extra attention because I like them. So it's just part and parcel of the game, I guess. Even
but if you have a duty, you should do it to the best of your ability.
yes.
Like if it's your duty, if you have a husband or wife or kids, then you should do that to the best of your ability. If you're in hospitality, you should do that to the best of your ability. If you're a gardener, to the best of your ability. So whatever your duty is, you should do it to the best of your ability, and not to be half-hearted, not be half-hearted about it. But how it begins is that generally, like a devotee asked Prabhupada, how do you know what your nature is? Because Prabhupada would often talk about you should work according to your nature. Yeah. So a devotee asked him, how do you know what your nature is? And Prabhupada said very simply, in very simple terms, your nature is generally what you like to do and what you're good at doing. Yeah. Two criteria to what your nature is. 2. You like it and you're good at it. If you like it but you're not good at it, that's not your nature. If you're good at it but you don't like it, that's not your nature. And if you don't like it and you're not good at it, that's definitely not your nature.
I reckon what you like it, you will be definitely good at it. If something you love it, if you love the gardening, you will find the way to have a good garden.
No, I've experienced that's not true. You know, really? I mean, like for example, I like the sound of the mridanga. I like playing the mridanga, but I'm not very good at playing the mridanga. I'm like, 3rd class mridanga player, even though, I tried. But someone like Krishna Kirtan or Ramtek, they just pick it up and it just comes automatically. So it's like their nature,
Yes.
So they like it and they're good at it. But I mean, I like the mridanga, but I'm not very good at it. And I was a surveyor, as I mentioned, and I was good at it. And my boss was very happy with my work, and I did it very quickly and produced good results for him and everything. But I didn't like it because my nature was to be a brahmana and to teach and everything, not just to do sudra work. So I was very dissatisfied with that, even though I was good at it, but I didn't like it. So yeah, we all need to try to get to the point where we're working according to our nature and we're doing the work that we like doing and we're good at doing. But like I said, even though you've found a job according to your nature, some parts of it you might not like.
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
For example, killing the animals or something, or telling a lie or whatever. So there's always some parts of every job that,
perfection doesn't exist.
Ampe Prabhu?
Yeah.
Can I just ask something off topic?
Yeah.
I'm a bit disturbed at the moment because, there's like crazy things going on in Australia at the moment. And I don't know if you saw that young boy stabbed that priest.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what your view is it on, like from a Krishna conscious perspective about, you know, how we deal with these things, because it even, you know, there was I think I'm more disturbed about the stabbing of the priest than there was one a young man that also went into the shopping centre and he stabbed a lot of people.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
But I think I'm more disturbed about what's happening with the young boy, and that he stabbed the priest, and then all the people came and rioted against the police. They wanted to get in and hurt they wanted to get to the young boy, and so they went against the police, and it's pretty scary at the moment. I felt like that, you know, all those people just, you know, they were like an eye for an eye, and they wanted so badly to get to the young boy that they made this big riot.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, how to deal with these things that are going on, really. And what are your thoughts on this?
But what's going on is a lack of Krishna consciousness is going on, and these are the results of a massive lack of vacuum of Krishna consciousness. And these are all the results. Like Prabhupada, people would point out all the defects of society and that, and Prabhupada would just simply say, this is all the result of a lack of God consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you expect? You know, you've got a society of animals. If you take Krishna consciousness out of a human being, what do you have left? It's like a vicious animal. And a very intelligent vicious animal. That's the problem. Because a human being has such a big brain, but if you take away God consciousness away from him, he becomes a very hard to control, vicious
intelligent
animal. What's that?
Intelligent animal.
Yeah, which is dangerous, because a stupid animal, you can control it, right? Like a human being can control animals, isn't it? Even though the bull is very big and powerful, but we've figured out how to put a fence around him and everything, and put a ring in his nose, and then you can control him and cut his horns off. But if a human being becomes like an animal, then because he's so smart, you can't control him. You can't stop him. I mean, it's very hard. Like that. So, but that's just the result of godlessness. So what's the solution? Krishna consciousness, you know. So that's what we do. We shouldn't become depressed that everyone's like stabbing each other and everything and going nuts and having riots, but we should try to spread Krishna consciousness, because that's the only solution, is Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Even when Prabhupada first met Bhaktisiddhanta, he was known as Abhay Babu. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told him, you're an intelligent young man. You should go to the Western countries and preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Abhay Babu argued, like Arjuna argued with Krishna here in the Bhagavad Gita. And Abhay said, no, how can we do that while we don't have independence in India? We are a dependent state on the British, because at that time the British were ruling India. And how can we do that while we're dependent on the British? First of all, we have to become independent state. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati argued with him and said that just becoming independent from the British is not going to change anything unless, you know, people become Krishna conscious. And that's so true, because now India is independent from the British. Has all of India's problems gone away just because there's no more British controlling them anymore? No, India has as many problems now as what it did when the British were there, if not more. If not more.
Yes.
You know, so that's not the real point. Is you know, are the British controlling you or they're not, or is this political party in power or another one, or the police like this or they're like that? the real point is, are we Krishna conscious or not? So, and there's a big lack, a vacuum of Krishna consciousness. So, through distributing prasadam and doing kirtans and distributing books, these are the three main ways we can help people become Krishna conscious. And that's a positive thing that you can do, a practical positive thing you can do. But if you just think about all the crazy things in Australia and the world, you just go crazy, so there's no point. There's nothing. It's not good for you. It's not good for anyone else. So don't go that direction. You just want to go the direction of Prabhupada went, is just try to spread, even right, a 70-year-old man, he was working hard to spread Krishna consciousness. And he improved my life, at least, and he improved your lives. Thank God Prabhupada tried to spread Krishna consciousness. If he didn't leave India, we would all be down the gurgler. Some of us might even be dead. Like that I would have been hanging from a tree somewhere. Like that, if it hadn't been for Krishna consciousness. So we don't even want to think what would have happened if Prabhupada hadn't spread Krishna consciousness. So yeah, it's good for us. That's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said. If you go to the West, spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this will do good for you and it will do good for others.
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it. At the very least, your life's going to be better by trying to spread Krishna consciousness, and you'll help some other people. And maybe some of those other people you help, they might help another 10 people or another 50 people. Maybe one of the people you help might become a big guru or something and help thousands of people. And then that happens, I mean, I brought some people to Krishna consciousness that are now far better devotees than me. And I'm thinking, well, maybe Krishna will give me some credit for bringing them, and then I'll go back to Godhead because they're such a good devotee like that. So some of the people I brought along became big book distributors, big preachers, managed temples, big priests, things like that, better than me. And I'm happy that they're better than me. And I'm just thinking, well, Krishna might be happy with me and give me some mercy because I need the mercy, like that. So, spread Krishna consciousness. It'll help other people and you'll get the mercy too. But don't worry about that's all chaos and everything. That's predicted. Welcome to Kali Yuga. I mean, we see our scriptures tell us what Kali Yuga is like. Read the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. It's all it's telling us. 5,000 years ago, the Bhagavatam told us what it would be like today. Today, it's telling us.
Even Simha witnessed too.
Yeah, so confirmed by Simha.
Yes.
He's confirming.
Devotee down in Melbourne at the farm there, and he said that he met you on the street and you gave him a book. I forget his name, Hanagriva or something like that.
Manigriva.
Manigriva, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said you were the first devotee he ever had met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's managing, the farm, all the cows on the farm and the garden on the farm and everything. He's doing great service like that. So, yeah, so.
We had a nice chat about you guys because I said, well, they're the first devotees I met too. So.
Well, I met the first devotee too, Abhicharan Das. And I was that stupid. I was thinking all the books written by him. When I look at Abhicharan, I said, is he Abhicharan? I said, he wrote all these books. He's the one did that. And then I said, oh, what a great man. I did not know.
No.
Gulshan, you're in so much illusion. It's just not funny. You're just
But
in
no,
so
but
much
my
illusion.
illusion was like, same like Arjuna's. Like, I didn't know that. It's true. And I just say, it's Abhicharan Das. And this is the one Abhicharan in the Gita. I've seen all the books there, all the Abhicharan written there. My illusion was, legit. And then I said, oh, what a great man. So
You just missed out the difference between Swami Prabhupada and the Das.
It's all right. Through you, I can go to Prabhupada. I can't go direct to Prabhupada. Through you, I can.
Yeah.
No, that's...
But see, the bright side of all the chaos is that, there's 4 kinds of people that come to Krishna consciousness. the biggest category of the four is those in distress.
Yeah.
And because there's so much distress at the moment, look in Israel and in Ukraine, Russia and everything, Australia, everywhere, New Zealand, so many kinds of miseries, people in so much distress, that this is a perfect time to spread Krishna consciousness, because there's a good chance that a lot of those people in distress will be ripe for Krishna consciousness, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was in distress 30 years ago, and that's why, you know, I came to Krishna consciousness, you know, like that. So often you'll see there's before someone becomes Krishna conscious, there was some calamity in their life.
I noticed that after COVID, a lot of Indians become a Krishna conscious. After
Yeah.
COVID, they realize that, you know, what's this going on? Like, you know, there's one stage, there was 300,000 people dying a day in India. I remember watching the news, that it was the national news in TV as well. And that wake up the eyes for a lot of people. And I noticed that it's a lot of people Krishna consciousness. It's just like my niece got initiated last week in Malaysia from Jayapataka Maharaj. She's sending me all that. So it's like a lot of people, I noticed that they become like my brother-in-law, he's just complete atheist, drinker, smoker. And now I heard my sister says he's going to one of the Hare Krishna temple in Delhi every evening for Sandhya Aarti. And he's singing there. I said, really? Whoa, 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 whoa. What happening?
Yeah, so even we would have thought it's impossible before, but a bit of suffering gets in the mix.
I was, for example, I was the same. I was a party animal. When the suffering happened, he opened my eyes. He said, what is it? And then I realized that, you know, that's the thing. But, oh well.
Yeah. So like they say, every cloud has a silver lining. So even all these, you know, riots and murders and everything, there's a silver lining there. That out of that, some people will go towards God, you know.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but there will be some people that will turn to God, so that we should be there and ready and waiting for helping them.
Put it this way, if you are thirsty, you will find the source of water no matter what. If you're a seeker. If you're not thirsty, no matter you be around the ocean, still you're, you know, not going to go to drink. No, not going to jump there. It's just like, but it as the time goes, it changes. Like, you know, your desires changes. Like, you know, your priority changes. Once you had a death and life situation, there's nothing is important for you anymore. Your own kids even not important, not business, nothing. Because when you're about to leave this body, nothing is important. So who am I? Then that's the difference. But anyway, everybody comes to the reason, I think, for reason.
Yeah. So we shouldn't, devotees shouldn't get bewildered by what's happening in the world.
No.
Our scriptures tell us what's going to happen and everything. We know all these things. And we know the cause of it. That's because of a lack of God consciousness. They're acting like
things
animals.
was happen even before as well. If you look in the Indian history, a lot of Mughal people and the Muslim people, they're ruling the Turkish or whatever they demolished the temple and all that. It's just like, it was happen in the history as well. If it's happening, what's new? Nothing. It may be happen in future as well. It's just that's part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody has got different thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Lovely to be with you all. You take care. Have a good week. Hare Krishna.